Hi, I chose to do my project on owls. And before I go on about the different parts of the owl, I thought I'd talk a little bit about them. They belong to the class Aves, which is the class of birds, and they belong to the order of strigiforms, which is another way of saying owls. They're found all over the world except Antarctica, and to this day, approximately 200 species have been identified. And owls are mostly nocturnal, meaning they're active during the night, and they only hunt their prey in the darkness. And owls are also known to symbolize knowledge and wisdom. So here are two pictures of the structure of the owl. This one right here on the left is mostly the outer structure, things like the eyes, the bill, and the talons. And this on the right side here is mostly the inner structure, like the trachea, and the heart and the liver, and the intestines. So let's talk about the digestive system. Owls don't have a crop. And a crop is basically a sac where food is stored after swallowing. So this means that the food is directly passed into their digestive system. They can't chew or swallow, they have to swallow their food whole, much like amphibians and reptiles, because they don't have teeth. And since they don't have a crop, the food is passed directly into their digestive system, into the gizzard where the food is ground up. The food is ground up and is passed through the rest of the system, including the smaller and the larger intestine. The food is absorbed into the body by the smaller intestine, meaning like the nutrients and the things the owl needs to survive. And the larger intestine holds all the waste, and it's excreted by droppings. So it's extremely similar to how a human system is. Owls share another thing with reptiles and amphibians. Not amphibians, it's reptiles. They regurgitate indigestible material like teeth or feathers, which they can't digest or break down in their bodies. So in order to get rid of it, they regurgitate it through pellets. And these pellets right here it's mostly what they look like. It contains fur, claws, and bones, and all those kind of things that they can't digest. And these pellets are commonly collected by scientists to see how an owl eats and what they eat. This quick link right here is just about it's a video of an owl regurgitating a pellet. Here it is, guys. It's not very clear, but it's the best I could find. It'll be coming up in a few seconds. Just pay attention to the owl right here. Now watch how its mouth is opening up and just he's getting ready to throw it out. And there it went. That was really quick. It might have been hard to see. But I know based on his facial expression it kind of looks painful, but it's actually not. These pellets are commonly covered with a soft texture. So it's mainly to protect the owl when he's regurgitating the pellet. See, like in this picture right here, you don't directly see everything in the pellet like you do in this picture right here. It's because the pellet is covered by some, I'm not really sure what it is, but it's mainly to help the owl regurgitate it even more. Because if the pellet was like this, then everything in there, including like claws and feathers, would probably harm his body on the way out. But they specifically do this. It's basically their own way of protecting themselves. Alright, now to the circulatory system. Owls have a closed circulatory system, and bird circulatory systems are mainly the same as humans, but they're known to be a lot better and efficient. And like us, they have four-chambered hearts. And the four-chambered heart allows efficient nutrient and oxygen flow to provide not just owls, but all birds with energy to maintain activity levels and maintain all their flight. So like a human, they have two ventricles and two atrium. And the two ventricles, which is right here and right here, as you can see over here, they're responsible for pumping the blood through the body. And once the blood goes through the body, it comes back to the atrium, which is right here, which is these two. And the atrium are responsible for transferring it to the ventricles. And basically, the blood goes from the ventricles all through the body to the atrium, and then from the atrium to the ventricles, and it just keeps on going like that. let's move on to the reproductive system. The relationship between a male and female owl begin with courtship, which is basically how the male approaches the female. And it's mostly initiated by the male, and they use a special call to attract the female. And owls are mainly monogamous, meaning they only have one mate at a time, or they get another one after one dies. And once the male and the female owl mate and do what they have to do in order to breed, the fertilization occurs internally in the female. And the owls lay eggs much like fish, reptiles, and amphibians. And these eggs are covered with a hard shell that surrounds the yolk. And the yolk gets a few coatings of albumin, which is also known as egg white. As soon as the first egg in the female develops a shell, another egg begins to form. And eggs can be ready to lay as soon as 1 day after fertilization, and as soon as the shells have formed. And then when the eggs are laid, the incubation period begins, which is basically when the male or female owl sits on the eggs to keep them warm and make sure they don't die. And once the eggs are hatched and the owls are born, offspring is watched over by the parents. They're usually watched over for a few months. It depends on the breed, but generally it is a few months. Now onto the nervous system. There isn't a lot about the nervous system because it's mostly similar to a human's nervous system. Their nervous system is made up of a brain, a spinal cord, and nerves, mostly like other vertebrates. And their brain is split up into 3 parts. 1 part for smell, 1 part for sight, and 1 part for hearing. And like humans, the brain contacts most of the body through the spine to activate the nerves and tell the body what to do. For example, if you accidentally if you touch something hot, your brain sends a message through your spine to your nerves for your hand to let go of whatever it is that's hot. And now that we're done about all the systems, now it's time for interesting facts. Interesting fact number 1, owls cannot move their eyes. They can't move their eyes at all and can only rotate their heads in order to see different angles. Like these pictures show right here, they can rotate their necks a maximum of 270 degrees without breaking any blood vessels and without cutting off circulation of blood to their head. Interesting fact number 2, the smallest owl in the world is the least pygmy owl, which is roughly 12 centimeters tall, which is also 4.5 inches, which is right here. It's really cute. And the tallest owl in the world is the Eurasian eagle owl, which is about 71 centimeters tall. And the last interesting fact is owls are mainly farsighted, which means they can't see anything that's near their face. And this is actually what makes them really good hunters, because they fly up really high in the air and can spot anything on the ground. And if you actually put something a few centimeters within an owl's face, they cannot see it clearly. And that's all for this project, and I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you learned something. Last but not least, here are my sources. Thank you.